and realize where they are. But they do have a fairly good sense of direction. I just want to see this giraffe. Maybe we can see if we can reposition. I think there's a road that runs up here. Is there a road that runs up here? Let's reposition. Karula's back up on a termite mound. While I reposition, let's go see what Karula's up to.
From a termite mound to termite mound, that is what the Queen is up to for now, and giving us a beautiful view once again of her hypnotizing tail. It really is, once you start watching it, it's actually very difficult to tear your eyes away from it. Twitch, twitch. Constantly moving, just like a house cat. And tails seem to have, as I said, a mind of their own. And here we go again. Everybody ready? This is going to get tricky. Big yawn. Now, as I said, I'm really excited to show Karula to the school children. They will be joining us in about 15 minutes. As you know, we do have school drives for school children. That doesn't mean you can't watch, of course. It just means that we answer the questions from the kids for a little while. And I think it's one of the most important things that we do to capture the interests of children. Oh, Jamie, I don't think this is going to work. To capture the interests of children in conserving these, I've lost track of her now, is exactly what we She's spotted some impala, and we do apologize for the attack of the gremlins that we had earlier. We don't know what happened really, but we're back up and running, so thank you for all of you for staying tuned. There's a tree. Okay, there she goes, there she goes. Yes audio or no audio? Okay, so we're good to go. Sorry about that, everybody. We've got Karula hunting. We apologize. I don't think you heard me say it the first time. We do apologize for the attack of the gremlins that just occurred. Karula is hunting impala. Now, I'm not 100% sure where the herd has gone now, but that's why she slunk is not a word, slunk across the road in the way that she did, sort of almost slithering her way over and back to this termite mound. Standing by. A firm yours. She's visible from the road on a termite mound. We've just hit the road now. Awesome. Look at her. Absolutely beautiful. Perfectly hidden. She's found the best termite mound of them all. A vantage point and plenty of cover. And so far, the impala, wherever they may be, I've lost track of them, remain oblivious of her presence. And now, she's going to play the patience game, and this is what Karula is amazing at. She is such a practiced hunter. Oh, she's been doing it for the last 12, not quite 12 years of her life, last 10 years of her life on her own. And she knows that she's got to get something relatively soon to feed those two cubs, and she's always been amazing at providing for her offspring and herself. Now, what she's got to do She's got to gauge so many things. It's almost like a tactical military operation, a leopard hunt. She knows she only has one shot at it, and only a short burst of speed. And what she's got to do is she's got to weigh up all these different conditions. The blowing of the wind, is it swirling? Is it going to give her away? She's just on that termite mound there on the right. You'll see her as you come along the road. Playing spot the leopard. There we go, they've got her. So she's weighing up. All the different conditions. Yours can see. Yours, can you see the mala from here? Cool. Awesome. So, here's what she's got to do. She's got to make sure that she doesn't move too fast, because she'll give her position away. She can't move downwind of them, or upwind of them, sorry, because she'll give her position away. And so, this lying down, even though she looks perfectly relaxed, is actually typical leopard hunting behavior. A leopard hunt, from start to finish, depending on where you take the sort of starting moment, can go on for an hour at a time, easily. Maybe even longer, as the leopard just patiently waits, watching what the animal does. Go ahead. So yours is just going to, shame, he's so sweet, he's just asking permission, and so your view's going to be blocked for a moment. Whee! Flash of heads. Here we go. So I'm sort of making a tactical decision here. Generally, impala walk into the wind so that they can smell what is coming, what is in front of them. The wind is blowing from behind me, which makes me think there's a possibility the impala are going to feed coming in this direction. So moving in this direction. That would put us in the perfect position to watch as the situation plays out. And for now, we play a game of wait. She's got perfect view. The impala, just to give you an idea, if we go a little bit to the right, here we go. So they're just to the right. If we zoom in sort of here, Eggsy, they're just on the other side there, in that gap. Now you might not be able to see them, but that's where they are. Just to give you a rough idea. Just around there. So we're going to wait patiently to see what Karula does. She knows it's... Not at all yours. So while we wait patiently for Karula to shift around, we're going to send you back to Taylor, who's doing a marvelous job of finding elephants this morning.
And I have stumbled across some more elephants. Everybody, can you believe it? It's an elephant day for me. And we're seeing such an amazing variety of elephant behavior. You can see this one is picking up some sand and actually covering itself with that. How incredible is that? So this is known as dust bathing. And it's very important to try and get rid of all the parasites. So things like mites and ticks and all those goodies will suffocate in the dust and then hopefully drop off. What's wrong? There's also quite a bit of vulture activity around here. I don't know if it's just because they're catching thermals or if because we are hot on the heels of the lions, which we're hoping, but we will see. But while we're going to watch this young Ellie bull, what are you doing? What are you thinking about? Something biting you? Not very happy, swinging his trunk around. What's wrong? It's okay, relax. He was so happy with us, and now I don't know what happened. Oh, he's got no tail. That's unfortunate. Oh, I think something is biting him. I think that's what the problem is. I think because he hasn't got a tail anymore, he's lacking a fly swatter, and maybe something stung him. Because all of a sudden he was fine, and then he was unhappy, and you saw him hit the brakes now as well. I think he's going to go to the toilet too. Emergency. Cover yourself nicely in dust for us. Isn't that beautiful? No, you're not going to the toilet? Oh. What's wrong? He seems slightly agitated. Not with us, though. Fran wants to know if elephants can sneeze or do sneeze. I mean, with all this dust that they're throwing around. Yes, they do. You'll often hear them sort of blow quite a big bit of air out of their nose, and I think that's the equivalent of sort of sneezing, trying to get rid of all of that dust. Oh my goodness. What's going on here? Can you quickly go onto these vultures that we've got? I don't know if you're going to be able to see them, but there is a lot of vulture activity. Look at this. What is going on? I wonder if these lions maybe aren't in here, because they don't seem to be going up. Oh, they go up and then they come down again. So I wonder if they've seen something. Hopefully they'll lead us straight towards where these lions are going. See, now they are going elsewhere. And there were more vultures as well that were flying just to the left of these ones. There's quite a few of them, and this is where all the lion tracks are going to. So that's quite interesting. Well, that's good. I'm going to keep an eye out on these vultures. We'll carry on watching our friend the elephant, who is currently having a lovely dust bath and is settled down again now. So I think that's what happened while you were watching. Oh, wow! Isn't that amazing? It's like a colour festival for elephants, though, and just with the dust. If any of you have ever been to a colour festival, you should know what it's like with those packets of dried sort of paint. And that's just what, this is exactly what that reminds me of. But that's very unfortunate. I think this young Ellie bull does spend quite a bit of his day covering himself in dust without that tail. That must be the most frustrating thing for an animal, is to lose your tail, which is the only fly swatter that you have. Look there, you see, it gets a bit fidgety and itchy, and you can see that tail wagging, wagging, wagging. So I think he does maybe have a few insects that are biting him around the rump, and he cannot reach them. That's very unfortunate. And off he goes again. Where are you going to go? You're going to carry on with the road? You're going to go find something to eat? Look at that little tail. And these long eyelashes as well earlier. There we go. Look at him. Stumpy. He's like Stompy, the monkey that I was talking about yesterday afternoon as well. Shame, boy. You're not happy with all the insects that are biting you. Okay, you can see him, very agitated. Like I said, not with us, just with all the biting insects. And that's a good idea, yes. Walk through the trees, and that will hopefully act as a bit of a fly swatter as well. No, not very happy. Okay, everybody, I think we're going to go and head over to Jamie, so you can have one last look at Karula. I'm going to hang around with these elephants for a little bit longer.
Hello and welcome to all of the kids at Rodine School, and I'm whispering just because I don't want to take our eyes off this incredible creature in front of us. There is a leopard hunting around this incredible drainage line. I think some of you may know of her. Her name is Karula, and she is very, very hungry. And just down in the drainage line there is an antelope that she is keen on catching for breakfast. Absolutely incredible. I had to bring you across now because I'm scared she's going to disappear. And then after that, then I will introduce myself and explain a little bit about what's happening here. So just bear with me one moment because she could disappear in 2 seconds. Look at her go. She's gonna go. Isn't that incredible? And there she goes. Okay, I've got to whisper because I don't want to disturb her in any way. But a big hello to all of you at Rodine. My my name is Jamie, and I have a gentleman called Eggsy on camera with me, and the sun is really, really, really very, very bright. Eggsy's real name is not Eggsy, it's Sunder, and it's wonderful to have you all on board. I think this is a fantastic way for you to start off your school day. And just a quick note, I used to go to Rodin just like you guys, but many, many years ago. So what this is, there she goes. She's still hunting. See if you can spot her. It's going to be very difficult. A leopard is very well hidden. But see if you can see where she's gone. Awesome. Just keep looking. I don't know where she is. See if you can help me find her. Can you see her there? I can't. Okay. Unfortunately, I can't do anything just yet. I can't move my car. I can't reposition, and the reason for that is that if we do, we might make a bit of noise, and we could either scare Karula, or we could scare the animal that she's hunting. So we've just got to sit here really, really carefully and wait for one moment to see what's happened. What an exciting way to start off your morning. She was looking really hungry, like she could really use some breakfast. I'm just going to wait here for one moment. The sun is so bright, I'm sorry, I can't look at you at all. You have to duck into the shadow. So what this is, this whole system, is that we do live game drives. So what we do is we essentially broadcast live from a place called the Sabi Sand. And it's not just leopards and lions that we have here. We also have some amazing other animals as well. I'm going to send you back across to Taylor, who has got some elephants.
Hello to all the wonderful ladies of the Rodin School. I'm so happy to have you join us this morning. My name is Taylor, and on camera we have David. You can see his thumb over there. He does actually have an entire body. He's not just arms. And I don't know if you managed to see that, but we were actually looking at the eye of an elephant. I need to reposition. Oh no, wait, maybe he's going to come back into frame again. There he is. So we've been watching this young elephant bull, and I don't know if you can see that he's got a missing tail. Ashley wants to know how old this elephant is, and I reckon he's probably about between 12 and 15 years old. So he's quite a young boy still. He's definitely nowhere near his potential size. Maybe let me see if I can reverse back a little bit quickly. And this elephant is proving to be quite a character because he's going the other way. Because he's missing his tail, the insects are really bothering him. Maybe we'll catch him up here. Yes, he's going to pop out. Don't go down into the riverbed. We are not done looking at you yet, mister. No, come back. No. Shame. He was really, really agitated earlier with these poor biting insects, and now he's disappearing. So I don't think we're going to be able to see him anymore, but there's another one. I'm just going to poke my nose over here. And I don't know, can you see that other elephant that's just around the corner over there? That looks like a female. I think it's a female. It's hard to tell from here, but that one has its head tucked into a tree and is munching away. It's quite hard to believe that such a big animal can disappear in the bushes like that. Unesa wants to know why elephants spray themselves with dust. Now, Unesa, I have to tell you that it's the most effective insect repellent out in the bush is to cover yourself with dust. So like what you maybe just quickly saw over there, poor Stumpy, our elephant that has lost his tail, was really spraying so much dust on him. So what that does is that it will suffocate all the parasites, so from the ticks to the lice and anything else that's crawling around on their skin. It will put a thin layer over them, suffocate them, and then hopefully they will die. And I think what was happening as well is our friend Stumpy, as he was spraying some dust over himself, I think he was hoping that it was going to take out a group of insects that were biting him at that time. But there's lots of activity over here. Where are these elephants going? They've just completely disappeared into this very thick vegetation in this drainage line. How long do elephants live for? Kathy, elephants live for quite a long time. It's quite amazing. So they live anywhere between 60 and 70 years, and that's determined by their teeth. So I have chatted about this earlier today, but I'll quickly recap for all of you. So elephants have 6 sets of molars that come through every 10 years or so. It depends on how quickly they wear down though, and then that will then determine their age. That's why I say anywhere between 60 and 70 years old. So if any of you want to go into elephant dentistry, I think there's definitely a career available for all of you, and I reckon the elephants probably live a little bit longer if they had another set of teeth. And this one has tucked its head away so nicely and obviously enjoying the bark on the tree. That's what we've been watching today. We've been watching the elephants eat lots and lots of bark and roots, and unfortunately that's really only the food that's available for them at the moment. It's actually gone so quiet. Those elephants have moved out and away somewhere. I'm not sure where they've gone. They must have gone through this drainage line and out on the other side. So possibly, let's see, are you a female or are you a male? It looks like it could be a female, but I'm still uncertain. Come on out. You could just see also the secretion from the temporal gland. Can you see that over there? Just to the right of the eye is a liquid it's dry now, looks nice and dry, that's oozing out of that little gland, and that's quite an important gland. You can actually tell a lot by an elephant. Oh, it's a female, and I think she has got a baby inside of her. I can see her mammary glands are extremely swollen, and that will also give a good indication to me as to why those temporal glands are secreting like that. You can see there. So I think she'll probably give birth quite soon. They're very, very swollen, and her stomach is quite large as well. So with that temporal gland, it's an indication of it's basically an overstimulation of adrenaline. So it can mean that they are excited, it can mean that they are angry or stressed, and I think that female is quite stressed. Obviously there's a lack of food at the moment, and she's got a baby inside of her, so it's causing quite a bit of stress to her life, and that's probably why that temporal gland is secreting like that. We've unfortunately lost all the elephants now. They've disappeared from us. So Kylie wants to know why the female elephants rank higher than the males. So the males actually don't have any say in the herds of females. So it's what we call a matriarchal system, where we have a group of females that are very closely related. So they could be great-grandmothers and then granddaughters and mothers and cousins and sisters, and you name it. They're all related to each other, and they will decide where they're going to go and eat and what they're going to go and do, whereas the boys that become quite boisterous when they reach the age of about 15, that they eventually get kicked out of the herds anywhere between 15 and 18 years old, and they have to go and live a life of solitary, or they may even join up in a small bachelor group, so maybe some other young boys in a similar situation, until they are old enough to eventually mate with the female. So they just come and go. They are only present in the herds for a short period of time, and then they move out and go on their own. So ladies always stick together. I suppose it's like what you've done now at school, all the ladies all together like that. Let's try and relocate and just see if we can find some more of these elephants. But they have disappeared into some really, really thick vegetation. Actually, you want to have a look here. Can you see on this tree? I'm going to turn the vehicle a little bit. You see how there's a bit of mud at the base of the trunk of that dead tree over there? That's quite low to the ground, so that could be anything from a warthog to a buffalo to a hippo to a rhino and even an elephant rubbing up against a tree like that. To me, that says it's a slightly smaller animal. An elephant would normally rub up mud a bit higher, and once again, with the dust technique that they're using to suffocate insects, often what they'll do is they'll first go and have a nice mud bath to cool themselves down on a hot day, like I think it's going to be today, and then they will head on over. That will also just cool them down, and once again it also suffocates all the parasites, and then they'll often have a dust bath after that, and the dust sticks so nicely to their skin. But let's carry on a little bit further. If we find a nice bit of wood where the elephants have rubbed up. We'll have a closer look. We may even see some parasites in there. So once they've gone for their little mud bath and then a dust bath, they'll often come up and rub their shoulders or rub any itchy parts of their body up against the tree, and that can also then dislodge all those ticks that have been suffocated, all the different parasites, and then they get wedged into the bits of bark, and that's quite interesting to see. So if we can find something like that, it would be quite amazing. So I don't see any elephants just yet. We're going to just keep an eye, and I'm going to keep listening out for them. Good morning, Ella. Ella wants to know how long elephants are pregnant for, and it is the longest gestation period for any mammal, and that is, well, for any land mammal, and that is 22 months. So here's a question for all of you at the Rodin School. What animal, you don't have to tell me specific, species specific, but which animal has got the longest gestation period? So I'll give you a clue. It lives in the ocean. Let's see if anybody can guess that. Right, elephants, where are you? Did anybody bring any peanuts? Anybody bring any peanuts this morning to try and lure these elephants out? No, just joking. Elephants, I don't particularly like peanuts. I don't even think some of them will know what peanuts are. They don't grow in the wild in this area. So I'm not sure where that story came from. Oh my goodness, so have a look at all these vultures. I'm just going to get a nice little clearing. Look at that. That's incredible. Kayal wants to know what plants elephants feed on. Now, Kayal, elephants feed on a number of different plant species. Sorry, I just need to turn the radio down. They only have a very poor digestive system, so they're constantly feeding on a variety of different things. So from leaves to grasses in the summer months, and at this time of the year they're particularly eating the bark and the roots. They love acacia trees, any of the acacias. They will pretty much eat anything. They'll love to eat the fruit from the jackalberry trees, even the fruit from the marulas. That's their particular favorite, and I look forward to seeing the elephants do the head banging on a marula tree to get all the fruit to drop from it. But we're looking at a thermal of vultures at the moment, and can you see how it's almost like it's a tornado of vultures, and they're circling around. So there is some hot air over here that's rising quite nicely, and vultures are really big birds. Their wingspan can get just shy of 2 meters, so about 1.8 meters in length, and you can imagine it would be quite difficult for a bird with such a big wingspan to get so high in the sky. So they have to rely on these warm pockets of air, and you can see how that warm pocket of air is actually moving and making these vultures sort of blow down further to the south. Now some of them have got out of the thermal, now they need to pop back in, and eventually they'll get higher and higher. And there's a number of different species of vultures here. We've got some hooded vultures, we've got some white-backed vultures, which are the bigger ones, and I'm pretty sure occasionally you may even see a little eagle soaring with them. So these vultures are not hunting, or they haven't really spotted anything at the moment. This is just them trying to get really high up into the sky where they can soar and then start their day and search for something possibly to eat. Valentina wants to know how I'm able to tell the difference between the different animals, and then as well as remember which species is which. Lots and lots of practice. Obviously with the big animals, from the different antelope species to, sorry, I've just come unplugged. This is like my vital system. This keeps me alive. Sorry, everybody. So from the antelope species to the zebra and the giraffe and the wildebeest and the elephants and the lions, they're quite easy to tell the difference between. The tricky part comes when you find animals like insects and frogs and birds, because you're not always seeing them all the time, and this is obviously hard when you're not seeing an animal on a regular basis. This makes it a lot more difficult to try and remember it. So that's why we have lots of books. You'll see I have lots of books with me now, for just in case I need to find anything. See, I've got a mammals book over here that has got all sorts of different goodies in. I've even got a bird book. You can't laugh at my bird book though, I have to show you. It's my bird book that I've had for forever and ever. Look at all that. So these little tools are very helpful for us in the bush, and even though I've been doing this for a while, I never stop looking in my book. It's very important to keep learning, which is quite amazing. So that's how you learn about how to identify different creatures and how to remember them, and it just takes a lot of practice. So we're going to carry on going ahead. I can't see these elephants and I can't hear them anymore, so I'm not sure where they have disappeared to. think they maybe have found a nice shrub that they're feeding on. We'll carry on around here. We're also, by the way, we were also trying to follow up on some lions. I think I've got some lion tracks. Do I have some lion tracks on that side of the road? Would you like, is that all right for you? Okay, hang on, let me just go back a little bit. How's that now? Have a look in here. Lion tracks, everybody. Isn't that a good sign? Now they were going up and down. Let me try and have a quick look around here. Excuse me for 2 seconds, I'm just unplugging myself. What else do I need? Nothing. Let's see who we've got over here. Ooh, okay, so let's do this one over here. You can see this actually looks like a very big male lion track. I mean, that's really the size of my hand over here. So it's quite easy to tell the difference between male and female tracks because of their size. Firstly, female's track is a lot smaller, but also female track is generally a lot longer. A male's track is quite wide, which you can see here. It's almost as wide as it is long. So a female track will be a lot longer in length and then slightly narrower. And then to tell the difference between a hyena and a lion track, because sometimes you can get confused, is that a cat has got 3 lobes. So the back part, the sort of the palm, I suppose you could call it, you can see if you look there, 1, 2, 3. So that's very easy. That's how I know it's a cat. There's also no claws, which rules out that it's a cheetah. Cheetah is the only track where you can actually see their claws in their track. The rest of the cats keep their claws retracted in their pads so they can stay nice and sharp. They don't need to rely on running too quickly. I suppose I need to maybe also look around, make sure that there's no lions creeping up on me. And so yes, so the lions and the leopards keep their tracks, their claws retracted so that they can keep them nice and sharp. They don't use their claws like cheetahs. Cheetahs use their claws in order to grip on the ground to help them run really quickly. So the tracks are going up and down. So there's one big male lion's tracks like I just showed you, and there's a few female lion's tracks. So I wonder where we've missed them. I think we may actually turn around and just do another loop now that I can see these tracks nice and clearly. There's no cub tracks here. This pride of lions that we are looking for has got quite a few cubs. I'm just going to zoom around quickly. Need to get back in the vehicle. My brain is thinking very hard as to what these lions were up to. I think they're in this drainage line somewhere. I have a sneaky suspicion. Let me just very quickly see if there's any update on the lions. Need to get plugged in. Okay, I'm plugged in again. No, and I'm not going. Come on. Okay, I'm going to very quickly just reverse without stalling this time. And watch the trees so we don't take us out. So, I think there were a lot of buffalo tracks around here this morning as well. I've been seeing that, and lots of zebra tracks. So perhaps these lions were up and down here. They weren't too far from here last night. We actually found them just behind us, a few hundred meters. So, and they were looking hungry. The last time they killed something was a few evenings ago, which was a big buffalo. Mia wants to know how many animals we have in this camp. Mia, it is impossible to even tell you. I don't know off the top of my head. There's so many different types of mammal species as well as bird species, and all the insects and the amphibians and the reptiles. It's almost impossible to say. Sorry, I'm slightly distracted just because these lion tracks are going up and down. Up and down, and I don't know, we've come from this way and we didn't see anything, but now they seem to have all turned around. We're going to go back again. This is what often happens. You spend your entire drive going up and down trying to work out what these animals have been doing. And it seems to me that they were obviously trying to track something, trying to look at something. But I think because no one has driven this road this morning and we've just come from that side and we spent some time with the elephants and we didn't hear anything else, maybe they're around here. Let's just have a look. I just want to quickly see what's happening on the radio. Sorry, my buzzer, any Ngonyam updates? Yeah, I've got the tracks nicely going up this road. So Simone wants to know if I'm scared. Sorry, we've got an elephant just sort of blocked the road slightly. You can see this branch. We're going to have to maneuver through it. Come on, Rusty. I'm going to go forward a little bit. Lusanda, I'm so close to this elephant right now. I'm probably about 15, maybe 12 meters away from this elephant bull that we're looking at over here. And so no, yes, they will come very close to the car. Sometimes they'll walk right over to us. Maybe he'll do that. And so, Timon, just to go back to your question very quickly there. So it's taken many, many, many years for us to be able to interact with these animals and for them to be so relaxed with us. So isn't that incredible that they're completely wild? Now, if I were to get out the vehicle, that is a different story. But we do not look like a threat in the vehicle, because remember, unfortunately, a lot of these animals have been hunted for many, many years when the settlers first arrived. So they have a natural fear of humans. But in the vehicles, for the last 30 years, we haven't been behaving like people. We've been very well behaved in the vehicles and just actually looking at the animals, and the only shooting we're doing is with a camera, which is the way I think it should be. So it's fantastic. So now they allow us to be relaxed, enjoy, and they were like nothing. We're like a rock to them, completely neutral. There's another big female just up ahead. Oh no, she's disappearing. Ryan and Annabelle want to know, how do you tell if it's a male or a female? I'm going to go ahead because we've got a few more elephants that I think we're going to get a better view of. Come on guys, it's okay, relax. What's wrong? Why is everybody so agitated? Have you seen some lions this morning? It's okay, it's okay, it's okay, it's okay. Sorry, this elephant cow is not happy with us. I'm going to keep going. Sorry everybody. See how she's just told me? She had her ears raised. She also looked at me and she said, you better just keep on moving. So I'm going to keep my distance from her. She was not very comfortable with us, which is fine. She's allowed to be. We all have bad days. So just to go back to that, I've forgotten now, sorry. What the question was, I was just very quickly watching the elephant. So the differences between males and females, it's difficult now because we don't have an elephant that actually wants to look at us, but a female elephant has got a very square forehead, which is quite easy to tell the difference when you can see their heads, which at the moment is proving quite difficult. Normally they're quite relaxed. And you can also look for, I'm going forward again, you can also look for the mammary glands, which is another way. So the mammary glands tend to be quite swollen. And then the males have a very, very round head. Or where are these elephants gone now? Let me go back again. Sorry everyone, they're not cooperating with us today. The male elephants have quite a round head on them. And then you can also look for the manly bits on an elephant. Well, I think we're going to head on back to Janie, just because I cannot get a clear view of these elephants, so I'm going to try and keep looking around. Maybe I'm going to even see why these elephants are so agitated, but I'll see you shortly. Right, what are we doing?
I am so sorry I disappeared like that. Unfortunately, I had a completely flat tire, which meant that the leopard disappeared away while we had to get out and change it. And it's actually a very, very important skill, learning to change a tire. It's something that everybody should know how to do, and it's something that you have to do a lot if you are a guide. You get very, very used to it. But it's important to know how to do properly, because if you don't, you can really seriously hurt yourself. You essentially have to lift the whole of the vehicle up onto one jack. And what that means is you've got to make sure that everything is perfectly secure so that you don't risk the vehicle falling over. Now we are desperately trying to find the leopard for you, but I've found something else for now, and in fact something that will tell us us if the leopard's been past. Now, Pandor, you wanted to know, do we ever get scared of the wild animals? Yes, sometimes. You see, there's a monkey. Oh, there it goes. He's running away. There was a monkey sitting there, but he's decided to dash off. Now, the reason I say that the monkeys would tell us where the leopard was is because they go cow, 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 when they see a leopard, basically telling everybody, look out, there's a big cat. Do I ever get scared? Sometimes. Well, sometimes it's very, very important to remember that you're in the animal's space and it's their home, and you've got to respect that and be very, very respectful of it. And it's important to remember these are wild animals and they are capable of hurting us or injuring us. But it's also very important to remember they don't want to. It's not their natural instinct to injure us in any way. Aha, there's that giraffe. I think that's the one that Taylor was looking at. There's a giraffe over there. So all animals, even the smallest warthog or bushbuck, are capable of hurting us if we behave in a silly way. And it's very important to be constantly alert and aware that you may need to move out of an animal's space. And also, just because you saw an animal one day and it was perfectly happy, if you see it the next day and it's not happy, it's important to respect that, because they have moods just like we do. Sometimes things go wrong, sometimes they get injured, and then it's very, very important to read the signs of the animals. So I'm not going to tell you that I've never been scared out here, because I have. And anybody who says anything different is not telling the truth. We've all been a little bit scared at times. But I'm more scared sometimes in certain cities and in certain places in cities than I am living out here in the bush, because there's nothing out here that sets out to hurt us in any way. How amazing is that giraffe? Now I know you've just been with the giraffe with Taylor, I think, off before the elephants. So what I want to do, or maybe you haven't actually, I've lost track of all the things we've seen this morning. I've been so busy trying to find this leopard. Okay, so let's go a bit closer to the giraffe, because you guys haven't seen one yet, and I'm hoping he's going to let us come a little bit closer. Now, Joya, welcome. I hope you're having an awesome morning. You want to know if we breed animals at our farm, and the answer is no, we don't. We don't do any sort of breeding of any sort of animal out here. There are certain places, of course, in South Africa that breed different animals, certain types of antelope, for example, or buffalo, but we don't do any breeding. The animals do it all themselves. We don't interfere in any way. So we let them get on with their lives just like they've been doing for hundreds and hundreds of years. So they do all of their own breeding. We've got lion cubs somewhere on this property. I'm hoping we're going to find them at some point. And Karula, the leopard you saw earlier, also has 2 beautiful babies that are 7.5 months old. But she's busy hunting for them. So that's why she's disappeared. But for now, we've got this amazing giraffe. He's munching away on the leaves. Now, talking about spotted creatures, we've got quite a few giraffe, but Alice Marie would like to know whether or not we have any wild dogs. And yes, we do, and we get to see them every now and again. Right now, most of the wild dog packs in the Kruger and all around the Lowveld have brand new puppies, which means they're spending a lot of time around the den site. So they have babies in a termite mound or something similar, and what they do is they move around there and look after the puppies. And unfortunately, they haven't decided to den in this particular area, which means that we only see them every now and again. But when we do see them, it's one of the most exciting animals to watch. They move so fast, and they cover such enormous distances incredibly quickly. They are absolutely amazing. Now, this giraffe is probably a little bit too big for them to take down, but they are capable of taking down or catching things like antelope. As you know, a wild dog is one of the most endangered animals that we have out here. How many do you think, I'm going to ask you a quiz now, how many wild dog do you think there are in South Africa? How many wild dog do you think there are, roughly? You don't have to give me an exact number, but how many do you think there are? And I think you'd be shocked and surprised at the number. Look at this beautiful giraffe. Yeah, and Absolutely, Faith. You want to talk about the giraffe tongue. And you want to know why it's so long. And Faith has asked a very good question, because a giraffe has a tongue that's almost 1/2 meter long. Measure that out. Pick up your school ruler, your 30 centimeters ruler. A giraffe tongue is even longer than that. And the reason a giraffe's tongue is so long is because of what they eat. And they particularly like the leaves of thorn trees, things like acacias, and perhaps a knobthorn or two. But that means they have to stick their whole face into the tree to get to the leaves, and sometimes it gets a bit scratchy. So what they can do is they close their eyes and their nostrils and they put their head as close to the tree as possible, like this giraffe is doing. He's got his head in the tree. And then they reach forward with their long tongue, and it's flexible, almost like an elephant's trunk, and it wraps around the leaves. Now here's something I don't know if you know. A giraffe's tongue is purple. Not even just bright purple, deep purple. And that's because if it's wrapping around thorn tree leaves, it's got to be nice and tough. So it's got melanin in it. And melanin is the same thing that gives you freckles or slightly darker skin. And that is a very, very tough pigment. It's a very strong pigment. So they've got melanin in their tongue so that they don't cut their tongue when they're busy eating their leaves. Now, this is a boy giraffe. And the reason that I know it is a boy giraffe... There you go, that's for Amy and Victoria. You wanted to know, how do I know it's a boy giraffe? How do you distinguish? Now, the most important thing is to look at the top of a giraffe's head. Now, you might not always be able to see it clearly, but because a giraffe's so tall, it often sticks up above the trees. Right, now, look at his horns. Now, they're not actually called horns, they're called ossicones, the things sticking out of the top of his head. And they're different from antelope, like impala, because a giraffe is born with them. But they are solid bone. In a boy giraffe, those are nice and thick and strong, and they're bald at the top. They've been rubbed bald, so the skin at the top, look closely, look really carefully. There, he's giving us a view. See, there's no hair on the top. So in a boy giraffe, those are thick and strong because they use them to fight other males with when they want to mate with a female. So it's to compete with other males. In girl giraffes, those are much skinnier and they have tufts of hair growing out of the top of them. So that's one way that you can distinguish a male from a female. Male giraffe are bigger and usually a little bit darker, but be careful, because just like some of you have brown hair, black hair, blonde hair, giraffe have different colors of coats as well. And then, next way, boys and girls, in a giraffe it's quite easy to see. You can see the bump on his tummy, and that is one way that you can distinguish that it is a male. So that's a boy. The female doesn't have that bump, it's smooth. And you also want to know, what do we call a baby giraffe? And Carolyn, you want to know what you call a baby giraffe. We call it a calf. It is called a giraffe calf, like a cow. And in fact, you call a female giraffe a cow, and a male giraffe is actually a bull. It's kind of weird. But a baby giraffe is called a calf, like a buffalo calf. And that's because they are actually quite closely related to buffalo, believe it or not. Now, a giraffe is an amazing creature. And it's got a very, very powerful heart that pumps blood all the way up to the top of their head. Now, this boy is all on his own, and that's generally what giraffes do. And we have a question about, will the male stay with the mom and the baby? No, they don't. Male giraffe are not very good fathers. They actually don't stay and look after the baby. That's the mother's job. And there's actually very few animals out here where the male looks after the baby as well as the female. Mostly it's birds that both partners will look after the little one. Birds, jackals, wild dogs, those sorts of animals. Giraffe, nope, the male mates with the female and then he goes away. But giraffe don't have set herds or territories, so that means you could see a male with a female and a calf. They just wander around. Sometimes they like to be on their own, sometimes they like to be with other giraffe. And a collection of giraffe is called a journey. So the collective noun for giraffe is called a journey of giraffe. which is, I think, a lovely description. They always look as though they're on a journey. Look at him. Isn't he amazing? And Kel, you wanted to know how old the giraffe is that we're looking at right now. It's very, very difficult for me to tell because he is fully grown, and giraffe, whilst they do get larger and larger throughout their lives, at some point they sort of reach a stopping point. And unless I went and had a look at his teeth to see how much they've worn down, I couldn't really tell you. He could be anywhere from about 8 or 9 years old right up until about 15, even potentially 20 years old. If I had to guess, I don't know why I'm saying, I think he's probably in his teens, his early teens. So between 11 and 15 is my guess, but I don't know exactly, and it's very difficult to tell the exact ages of animals like this. I could ask him if I could look at his teeth, but I don't think he's going to say yes. And the reason that old giraffe, their teeth wear down, is because, of course, they're constantly chewing. So all of our antelope, our elephants, and giraffe, you can tell how old they are by looking at the condition of their teeth. And that's one of the only ways that you can tell. And then as they start to get older, then their bones start to get more prominent, and they get a bit more bald. Amor, you wanted to know how tall a giraffe can grow. And I'm trying to think what the record is. This giraffe must be, I would say, easily 6 meters from the ground to the top of his head. Five-ish meters, 5.5 meters, I would guess at how tall he is. So giraffe can get very, very tall. And don't forget, there's different types of giraffe. So throughout Africa, there's different species. We have the savanna giraffe, the southern African giraffe, and they do get very tall. Now, one of the advantages of being that tall, of course, is that you can eat above the heads of other animals. But then, at the same time, for the males, it's also a weapon. So those horns on the top of their heads, when they fight with other males, they do what's known as necking. So they swing their heads down and around and hit each other on the sides and on the legs and on the back. And they're basically smacking each other with their heads, which sounds ridiculous, and it is phenomenal to watch. Because their necks are so incredibly strong, they can swing their heads with great strength. Now, generally, only mature giraffe go dark like this in color. All right, now our giraffe is not going anywhere, but Amy and Julia, you wanted to know how fast can a giraffe run? Well, probably in the region of about 60-odd kilometers, possibly even faster at a sprint. They look like they're slow animals, but they're actually not, because when your legs are 2 meters long, you have enormous strides, so the distance between each step is very, very far. And giraffe can only do 2 different types of movement. They can walk or they can run. And their run looks very graceful, and it's almost like they're running in slow motion. But because their legs are so long, they can run and cover ground particularly fast. Faster than a human being. In fact, pretty much, I have to be honest, pretty much everything out here in terms of mammals can run faster than a human being. They've got 4 legs, we've got 2. They are just better at running. Which is why we always say, you don't run away from anything out here. Now, Rose, you wanted to know how giraffe sleep. So what they do is they can actually doze standing up. So kind of have a little bit of a nap. And they don't sleep long periods like we do, because they can't afford to be inattentive, not watching out for predators for too long. But giraffe do sometimes lie down. They fold their legs underneath themselves, and then they sort of lie with their bellies on the ground. But they never ever put their heads down. Their heads never go right the way down. They never rest on the floor. And that's because if they do that, if their head is below the normal position for too long, because they've got a very complex system of the powerful part pushing the blood up into the neck, and then lots of different valves to control the flow of the blood. If they put their heads down for too long, then they faint. All of the blood goes away from their head and they just can't maintain it and they faint. Which is why you only see a giraffe drinking for a little while at a time. Look, he's got a passenger. Look carefully. Behind the ossicone, you'll see a little bird. That is an oxpecker. And the oxpecker is picking up ticks from behind its ears, around its ears and its face and behind the horns. So it's basically helping the giraffe. Gets rid of the itchy ticks that the giraffe can't reach, and at the same time gets a meal. We see lots of oxpeckers all over many different creatures out here. Serena, you wanted to know how many teeth a giraffe has. And it's very important out here to say I don't know when you don't know, and not make anything up. I don't remember off the top of my head exactly how many teeth a giraffe has. You're probably looking at about 4 molars, 4 or 5 molars, top and bottom, on each side. So what's that? Let's say 4 molars on the top, 4 molars on the top, 8 molars on the top, 16 plus a couple of incisors. There you can see his incisors at the front. And he's probably got, let's count, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Looks like he's got 6 there. 6, 12. So 16 molars, 12 incisors, and you're looking at about 28 or so teeth. But I'm guessing, I don't know exactly how many teeth a giraffe has. We'll have to go and look at our giraffe skull that we've got back at camp. Now, Darcy, you wanted to know, how do giraffes smile? I don't know. I haven't seen a giraffe smile at me. I've seen a giraffe look at me very carefully, but I haven't been smiled at before. Maybe I'm just not funny enough. My jokes just aren't good enough to make the giraffe smile. But remember that animals communicate in different ways to human beings. So they can show happiness and affection in different ways. They can't talk, but they do communicate just the way we do. Our facial expressions, when you cross, you frown. When you're happy, you smile. And giraffe have a whole different system of body language to communicate with each other. So the position of the ears, the lips, the tail, that will tell another giraffe who speaks that language just what that giraffe is feeling. Okay, mister, I'm going to go looking for our sneaky leopard, see where she's gone. Meantime, let's find out what Taylor's up to.
What Taylor's up to. 3, 2, 1, you're live.
Welcome back, everybody. I don't know if you can make out what we are looking at, but this is actually a male waterbuck. There we go. Now that he moved, you can see him a little bit better. Isn't it incredible that when they stand still like that, how you cannot see them at all? And he's hiding from us. He's a little bit scared of us. He's got a friend as well, but he's hiding in just as thick stuff. He's sort of to the left of him. He's using the termite mound and the cover of trees, which is quite amazing. These are really, really pretty animals. They remind me of big teddy bears because of their big noses. So hopefully one is going to show us his nose, and then we'll be able to see. No, not that one. That one is just hiding away properly. Look at those. You can only just see his ears twitching. I can't really see too much of him. There we go. Come on out into the open. Thank you. There we go, everybody. Patience. That's what you're going to have when you're in the bush. So like I said, big male waterbuck. He looks like quite a nice one, though his horns still got quite a bit of growing to do, I reckon. He's going to go over to his friend. Let me see if he's going to stop. What's he going to do? If he carries on walking past the termite mound, I think we might get a good view of him. So let's keep our fingers crossed that he does this. So now, what's quite interesting about Waterbuck is their name. Does anybody know why they are called Waterbuck? So ask your teacher to send through a comment for us so I can hear if you have the right answer. I'm going to go, no, we've got a nice view, and we'll stay here for a little bit, carry on walking, and hopefully if any of you get the correct answer, that'll be exciting, and if not, I will tell you about it. Okay, so remember earlier I was asking I was asking about who has the longest gestation period of all the mammals, and Claire and Rainier, you got it correct. You said a whale. That is indeed correct, so well done on that. A whale's gestation period is 22 months. 24 months, sorry, 22 months is the elephant's gestation period. I'm trying to focus on this waterbuck and my brain is not cooperating with me today. So any ideas about a waterbuck? Or should I just tell you? Maybe I'll just tell you because it's quite a difficult one. So the first thing, and let's see, maybe some of you got it right. The first thing is that they are water dependent animals. So that means that they have to drink water every single day. So they really rely on drinking lots and lots of water. So they will never go far from a permanent water, whether it's a pump pan or a river, anything along those lines. And the other thing is that one of the ways that they are able to evade predators is that they've got these glands on their stomachs called sebaceous glands, which are oil secreting glands, and it secretes a very stinky oil. It reminds me of drain water. It's the only way I can describe it. That actually covers all the hair on their body, and then what that does is it waterproofs a coat. So waterbuck are actually very good swimmers. What they'll do, especially in areas like if you're in Zambia or Botswana where there is a lot of water around, they'll actually, say if they're being chased by lions, they'll race along and they will dive through a little channel of water or a river, and from there they'll be able to swim and get out on the other side and carry on running, and they'll be completely dry. Whereas a lion, well, the lions don't really like water, but in places like Zambia and Botswana where there is water around, they are well used to it. And they may even crash into the water swimming after them. But when they come out, they're quite heavy. Their coat is drenched in water, and they'll have to give a few good shakes. You can see the camera moving quite vigorously. Dave is doing it with me now. and then and hopefully the waterbuck would have run away by then. And also, the long hairs on their neck are hollow, and it actually helps act as a flotation device. So I think that the waterbuck can swim longer than any other antelope. Maybe the lechwe will be a close second. They're also very well adapted to the water. But we're going to carry on. I'm just doing a quick little check around here. We had lots of lion tracks. We had tracks of even of the cubs, and they have disappeared now, and I didn't see the tracks of the cubs coming out of here. So maybe mom or the mothers were moving them around last night and they found an area where there was some food and maybe dropped them off to go and hunt. We're going to do one little loop. We're maybe actually even going to go and very quickly just check. There was the old buffalo that they killed. Maybe they've gone back there because I lost the male lion's footprints. They disappeared. Just always checking over my shoulder just to make sure and just to see if I can find anything. How about your side, David? Any tracks that side? I can't lean over, but I don't think so. I didn't see anything. Nothing. And this is it's a very nice soft sandy road, so it will leave nice footprints for us to try and follow. Right, everybody, I'm not having very much luck with these lions this morning. Hopefully we'll get lucky this afternoon, so tune in again this afternoon to watch us. I'm going to say a wonderful goodbye to you all, and I all hope you have a fantastic day. I know David wants to wave his hand as well. There you go, the bodiless human, just the arms. So ladies at Rodine, I hope you have a fantastic day, and I hope this is a good start to your school day, and hopefully we will see you soon. Cheerio from us.
Alrighty, well, at some point you guys are all going to have to go back to class, and I'm going to have to keep looking for amazing animals. We've all got our burdens to bear. Right, so there are in Africa, and in South Africa, and you've all been very optimistic. Now, Faith, I wish there were 7,000 wild dogs in South Africa, and we had another guess of 1,000. If you were guessing for the whole of Africa, you're not that far off. There's probably around 4,000 left in the whole of Africa, and therefore the whole wide world. In South Africa, there are under 500 wild dog. That's how many wild dogs we have, and that's why it's so incredibly important to protect these amazing animals. So under 500 wild dogs in the whole country. There are roughly The biggest population is here where we are, where there's roughly 195, hopefully more now, with all the puppies that are being born. A wild dog's an animal that has been seriously persecuted by human beings, shot by farmers, trapped by farmers, and also they catch the diseases that domestic dogs have, which means, and they don't have any kind of resistance to it, which means if they encounter a stray dog, for example, then they will contract things like rabies and distemper. Well, now unfortunately it's time for me to say goodbye to all of the Rodine girls, so a big goodbye. I hope you have a wonderful day at school and that we'll get to see you in the not too distant future. Bye bye everybody. And for our regular viewers, thank you for sticking with us. As you can tell, I don't have Karula anymore. She ducked into a drainage line, and there's nothing like a flat tire to foil a leopard following attempt. So I was foiled quite thoroughly by Wendy's incredibly flat tire. It wasn't a slow puncture either. It went gone flat. I could barely move, drive off the road to change it. Luckily, yours happened to drive by, and we had the equivalent of a Formula One pit team going and changing that tire. It was most impressive. We had Eggsy on jack, and we had several strong young men who absolutely refused to let me do it. And then when it came to putting the jack down, I put it down, and they went, "Oh, it looks like you know what you're doing." Oh, do it quite a few times, but I'm very grateful for their help, because it did mean that we could do it in basically record-breaking time. Unfortunately, not record-breaking enough. Karula has ducked away. I don't think she's left that drainage line that she went into. She just missed a Dacre. I mean, it was by a tail hair that thing managed to dodge around her and disappear into the drainage line. And I think she's still determined. I've left her for now. I'm going to leave her to go about her morning hunting. Hopefully she's successful and we get a chance to see her on the sunset safari, even with her little baby cubs. And I'm dying to see. It feels like it's been a little while. So there we go. That will be the plan, I think, for Karula. For now, we'll carry on and look for other things. The only way I'm going to find Karula is if we go on a very extended walk through that drainage area. And I don't know, none of us know at the moment where that injured buffalo has gone, which is going to be interesting. Oh, we have a tree in the road. Now, usually I would just drive over it, but I'm a bit concerned because we now no longer have a spare tire. It's a bush willow, so it shouldn't be too bad. But you never know, so let's squeeze. We'll squeeze. We can do this. Whoa. That was a tight call. You okay there, Eggsy? Yeah. Good. Casting my mind back. I promised that we would discuss all the different bird species nesting in the trees, and the fact that we get different species and there seems to be some kind of truce between them, and then I completely got distracted by Karula. So back to that question, different species of birds roosting in the same tree. I think it's just that they've reached a truce. I don't think you'd see it, you most definitely wouldn't see it, where there's a harrier hawk nest, because of course they are notorious nest raiders. But I think there's a kind of an understanding if there's a suitable tree, and I think one of the examples that we were given was the buffalo weaver's nest. We've got one here. Oh, stay on my hat. Stay on my head hat. There we go. And we've got the buffalo weavers in that messy nest over there. Whoopsie. Car's going for a walk. And it's quite, apparently, you saw a nest, a combination of different nesting species. It is quite unusual. I haven't seen it that frequently. That is the nest of the red-billed buffalo weaver. It looks chaotic, but apparently there's quite a system behind their nesting strategy. Lots of false entrances, very difficult for something to get in there. So I suppose buffalo weavers in particular wouldn't mind too much, and also it's not so easy for a buffalo weaver to just up and move nests. They invest a lot of time and energy in those nest areas, and they return year after year after year after year to the same nest sites. So perhaps when a raptor moves in, they just decide to make a stand and not move off anywhere. And a raptor would have a hard time raiding a buffalo weaver's nest. Not really worth their while. I think that might just be the reason behind the truce of the different species. Our Fuzzman sparkles on the subject of bird's nest. You wanted to know, where do storks nest? And it's quite similar to birds of prey. It depends on the species of stork, of course, but they will choose different nest sites, construct a messy nest quite similar to something like our Wahlberg's eagles, for example. Very common to find them on top of hammerkorp's nests, those massive, the hammerkorp nest is the biggest nest built by any individual bird, and it's absolutely massive. It's this bundle and solid, it looks like, I don't know how to describe it. It's a really big home for a very tiny bird, and it's not uncommon to find storks nesting there. In terms of whether we have any stork nests on, I have not found any. I don't think anybody else has either, and I've never found any on Arathusa. And at this point, because of the fact that we spend so much time on quite a concentrated area, we know, especially Steph, the amount that he's walked this property, we know pretty much every single tree and every large bird species nest. So I don't think so, but you never know. And of course, we always had, when there was rain and there was water, we always had the saddle-billed storks at the Djuma Dam and at the Vultures Dam. We're not going to see any storks this year unless the dams fill up, which is quite a sad thought. There's no reason for them to come through here. But the rain will come. I'm determined the rain will come. So the storks, you'd be forgiven for thinking they might nest on the ground, given that they are wading birds and they spend so much time on the ground itself, but it's absolutely not the case. They adopt a very similar approach to the raptor species. One of the birds that I'm dying to see, just on the subject of birds and chicks, and that does nest on the ground, and is sort of similar, kind of, to a stork, is a shoebill. I've never ever seen a shoebill. I'll find a picture quickly, if I can remember where I put my bird book. Shoebill. Oh my goodness, where did this drive go? I didn't realize we were so close to the end. How do you spell shoe? Shoe. Shelduck, shikra, shoebill. There we go. Quickly. That is a shoebill, a massive bird with a massive bill, standing taller than 1 meter in height, so well over 3 feet, close to 4 feet in height. I would love to see one of them. Awesome. Okay, well, that was just one last bird that's on my bird list. We won't see them here. But it is time for me to say goodbye. I had no idea we were so close to the end. So on that note, a big thank you to Zander for his amazing tree dodging skills and ducking. And a big thank you to all of you. I'll catch you this afternoon for the sunset safari. Bye-bye, everybody. Oh dear. In that case, I won't say goodbye to you all. It's hard to miss me if I don't leave. Taylor has lost signal, so you'll probably be staying with us until the end of the drive. No problems there. I'm going to pretend that my right front tire is not looking a little bit pup as well. Pup in South Africa, sort of slang for, well, you get the idea, lacking in air. I'm just going to pretend it isn't happening and slowly make for home. Oh, not 2 flats in one drive. That's not fair. The Taylor has lost signal. We're going to reconvene at breakfast and find out how that lion search is going. And James Richard, you were wondering if the warburgs, on the subject of birds and nesting, if they were to abandon their nests, would any other bird make use of it? Yes, raptors actually quite regularly swap around, particularly when vultures abandon their nests and another bird of prey will come in and utilize it. So that does happen, that birds basically, obviously they return as often as possible, but when one of them dies or they move on, then yes, something else will come through. And the nest in the Balanites tree, which is actually quite unusual, but the nest in the Balanites tree, that is the harrier hawk nest, apparently used to be a vulture's nest. Interesting spot for a vulture's nest, that's quite unusual, but it's obviously been taken over by that harrier hawk now. A little bit of swapping around does occur. It's kind of like the hyena dens and warthogs moving in, or aardvark burrows and warthogs making use of them, or wild dogs, or whatever it happens to be. Waste not, want not, essentially. Right, well, we can safely say Karula has not popped out here. We'll have to try again on the sunset safari. We tried valiantly, we really tried valiantly, but there's nothing you can do with a flat tire. Hopefully she is successful, and hopefully she is successful on Djuma. Doesn't decide to cross south. I'm going to quite rapidly, it's a slow puncture on my front wheel, so we don't need to worry too much about it, but it does mean I need to get closer and closer to home ideally, because I don't have any tires to change. It's quite windy today, which is good for Karula. It means she's got a much increased chance of success, and I definitely hope that she does get a meal. Right, well now we really actually have reached the end of our sunrise safari, and once again I am going to say goodbyes and my thank yous and all of that. So a big thank you to Zander, I already thanked him, as well as to Rebecca and Lou in final control, always doing a marvelous job, and Jerry for all of the stuff that she does as well. Most importantly, a very big thank you to all of you for joining us. I hope you enjoyed our sighting with Queen Karula as much as I did, and I'm looking forward to having you all join me on the back of the vehicle this afternoon, where we can go out and search for her. And until then, have a wonderful day, and we will catch up with you then. Bye-bye, everybody.